Star Trek is owned by CBS Studios, Inc. Look again at that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of. Every human being who ever was lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering. Thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines. Every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor, and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there, on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. Imagination will often carry us to worlds that never were, but without it we go nowhere. Somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known. These are the voyages of the USS Pegasus. So the shuttle touches down and your intercom goes off and says transporting now, and your prisoners fade first, and then Yennek and Aura feel themselves teleported, and you appear in medbay next to each other, but you can tell that you can see the shimmering of the medical force field.
Yes, this is Lieutenant Tuan.
The away team has returned to the ship. They are quarantined at the moment. If you are free, we would like to return you to the ship to run some tests.
I believe that should be fine. Give me just a moment and I will check. Commander Hunt?
Yes, Tuan.
Is everything going well here, do you think? Am I able to head back to the ship?
He's holding up like a
plant.
A glass canister with a plant inside, and he's like looking at it very with a perplexed expression on his face. He looks back over. He goes, "Yes, that's fine."
Okay. Excellent. Yes, I am available at the moment.
Excellent. Prepare for beaming.
Will do. Thank you.
And you appear in medbay. They beamed you directly to medbay.
That was handy.
And Alora, I assume that's the female, Alora?
Yes, that's what I named her. Sorry.
Right,
My brain
that's
is
okay.
gone. But that's correct.
Okay. So she walks over and she says, we have 3 prisoners down in the cells.
Prisoners. All right.
And we have Lieutenant Aura and the first officer here.
And who was it? Sorry?
Can she see us right now?
Yeah. Yes, she can.
Okay, I wave.
Kelle will wave back. And is it these 2 or the prisoners that needed medical attention?
We don't have a lot of information yet, but it appears to be possibly all of them. I've done the first preliminary scan. All of their vitals are within acceptable parameters.
Excellent. Nothing stands out at all, as unusual?
Not at this time.
Very good, thank you. All right, I will start here and then I suppose go take a look at these prisoners. Please do update me if you hear anything else.
Will do.
Thank you. And I assume, are they behind some kind of quarantine field?
Your 2 are. There you can see the
Yes.
shimmering of the force field.
Okay. So I will go and speak to them. Hello?
Hello,
okay.
Lieutenant.
So I hear you are concerned. Well, I didn't really hear what you were concerned about. What are you concerned about exactly?
Well, the people that we have taken prisoner were acting very irrationally, which is strange for a Vulcan. And we're worried that they were exposed to something.
Okay.
And us being in the same place, worried that we were also exposed.
All right, well, your preliminary scans are entirely clear, nothing abnormal. I can have some people run a few more tests while I go look at your prisoners. Who exactly is it, by the way?
Dr. Tallar was the astrophysicist that was, Tallar.
Yes.
Sorry,
Tala, I recall.
Dr. Tallar. Yes, she is a Vulcan astrophysicist who was leading the space station's away team to this object, and she was behaving in a most irrational manner.
How exactly did she... I see.
So
Can you
have
describe her
read
behavior?
her history.
Read her
Yes,
She's
history.
trying to kill us.
I have read up on her history, and she does hold some animosity towards the Klingons and some of the other enemies of the classical enemies of the Federation.
Alright.
However, this was beyond a typical hatred. This was on the verge of genocide. When we
Oh, dear.
objected to her plans, she became very, very violent. Again, most unusual for a Vulcan. So I would think there might be something wrong with her if you do a neurological scan.
It is possible. Well, as I said, everything is showing as normal for you two so far. If you are worried, however, if you'd like to remain here, we can run a few more tests, and then I will go take a look at your prisoners, and then if there is anything there to be concerned about, we could try a more detailed round of tests just to be safe.
That would be best, that we stay here just in case there is something and it is contagious.
I agree.
All right, well, we'll keep looking, but for the moment, I wouldn't be too worried. I will go see your prisoners. Sounds like you had a more interesting time than we did. All right, well, if you need anything, please let somebody know, and I am reachable, definitely.
Excellent.
So, I will see you later.
All right. Thank you, Lieutenant.
You are most welcome. And Kelle will now go take a look at the unconscious prisoners, who probably won't wave to her. And has anybody scanned them for anything yet?
They did preliminary, yeah, that's it.
And nothing came up?
Nothing came up.
Nothing came up. Based on what the first officer has said, then, I would like to try and do some sort of neurological scan, as that is what he was concerned about.
It's the locals are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Are they?
They're starting to like go, well, okay, it'd be good. This group would make sense, and this group would make sense, but it's very. I mean, you're not a counselor, but you can just tell looking at it. You're going, okay, yeah, I can see where they're coming from, but this would be fast, or not fast, but it would be faster.
Mm-hmm.
But there'd definitely be emotional distress.
There's other officers down here with this, I'm assuming.
Yeah, there's a few. They've been sort of, you're coming towards the end of the the biology gathering side of things.
Yeah, so Hunt will put the container down and then walk over to, I guess, whoever's leading this organization.
It's the council that you've been dealing with.
The council?
There were all those ministers.
The ministers. So the ministers are organizing this.
Yes.
Excuse me, but I couldn't help but notice the way that you're organizing everyone for extraction. You do realize that we're not in a rush. I think while the process here is definitely logical in the way that you're organizing it, it's not. I don't think we have plenty of space for everybody with ships on the way. I would think that keeping families together would be beneficial to everyone's stress levels.
But surely the extraction of our people in a timely manner would be the most beneficial, yes?
It may be more beneficial to have everyone extricated in an orderly and efficient manner, but the effect that this would have on people's emotions over the longer term would be... Oh, God. I'm not a psychologist, but I could only assume that it would be more damaging over the length of time that you will be spending on board the ship. So it would be pertinent probably to keep families together to be able to support each other. I only say this because of the... I grew up on the fringes of Federation space, and when you're stuck on a boat out in the middle of nowhere, it is good to have friends and family with you to support you both, that physical and mental state. So the complication could be extended organization. So like it would take days to organize this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I think, given the amount of time that we have, it is not. There's certainly by no means any urgency to evacuate everyone. So, please, I would say to be mindful of that and organise the groups into clusters of families. If it takes a couple of days, then so be it. We'll inform the captain.
We defer to your knowledge of this operation.
And Hunt's thinking to himself, yeah, probably not on this level, but yep. Oh, he nods. So how long do you expect now to have groups ready? I mean, it's still going to take some time for ships to enter this sector anyway, so...
We should have everyone ready to leave within a week.
Now, the 5 days, Hunt's trying to remember, the 5 days was when things would start going a bit wry, like crops would start to die.
It was like,
is that correct?
The planet is going to be dead.
Increased radiation levels, but it's not going to be enough if it's like, they're here a day or two longer.
Yes, exactly. It's not 3, 2, 1, oh, he's still here, you're dead. It was the planet would become unlivable at that point. So the crops don't suddenly die, but they would start to deteriorate, and moving forward, they would start to see less and less yield until there would eventually be none. So the planet was doomed at that point.
Yeah.
But it wasn't an instant doom.
Okay. And Hunt's trying to recall the ships. Like, we have already sent out word. That is correct?
A Code 1 was issued.
Okay. Yep. So it could take anywhere up to a week for some ships to arrive anyway. Okay. I think as families are ready and as ships come into the system, we can start evacuating them in that process. But yes. Keep me notified, and I'll keep the captain updated. And Hunt slaps his chest. Slaps the comlink. Not his chest, the comlink.
And they imitate you, thinking it's some form of exit ceremony.
Exit ceremony.
Captain, this is Hunt. Commander Hunt.
Go ahead.
Captain, this is Commander Hunt. So we've started evacuation proceedings. I recommended, considering that some of the families could be with us for an extended stay until we find a suitable place of settlement, that they organise into families and groups, I guess, so that they can support each other. So, this process could take anywhere up to a week. So, knowing that some of the ships won't be here for at least a few days, I just thought I'd apprise you of the situation down here.
Well done.
Hunt out. Okay, Hunt will go and try and take an interest in some of the plant life, I guess.
Try it very hard.
By
Stare at
plant life?
them and will himself to be interested.
And the door to medbay opens, and the captain walks in, and he grabs a chair and he slides it over and he sits in it, and he puts his feet up on the console, and he's looking at Aura and Yennek, and he's about to speak, and he sort of glances over, and Alora's standing there looking at him, and she stands there and looks at him, and he puts his feet down off the console, and she nods and walks off.
Excellent. I was going to ask him to do that if I was there. Got great nurses.
So, Mr. Yennek.
Yes, sir.
How did it go? What did you find on that sphere of mystery?
Something of a mystery. The doctor, the Vulcan doctor, Dr. Tala, was behaving very erratically, quite illogical, I might say. Her disdain for the Klingons and the Gorn are well documented. However, when we came across her, these were not the actions or the words of someone who just has a dislike of races. This was thought of committing genocide against these races. And further to that, she became violent with us when we tried to stop this. So she was willing to risk everything of herself and of Starfleet to see this plan through, which again was quite illogical. On the ship itself, we did run across security droids, but that was about the only danger we encountered. And then I'll relate to him the findings of the console and how we were able to disable the chance that this thing could be used as a weapon, because clearly there is something on that ship that was doing something to Dr. Tala's mind, and if a weapon has sentience, then it is something that should not be permitted to be used until it can be properly studied.
And you do not feel that this was a medical issue or on her part? This wasn't something that Vulcans suffer from? This was, you feel, some external force?
I don't believe that she was old enough to have her mind deteriorate as the way that happens with Vulcans as they get older.
What about you said she didn't act alone, though?
Correct. She did have two supplicants with her. They should also be in the brig and should also be under quarantine. My concern was that whatever caused her state of mind to be altered so much could have also infected them, and then it becomes a question of, are they possessed by something? Like, is an alien force acting on their mind? Or is this something that is transmitted as a result of exposure to the atmosphere inside the ship? Where there's too many unknowns, and I'm not a fan of dealing with unknowns.
And he looks at the readings that are above your cell, for want of a better word, and he pretends that he understands what he's looking at. Alora says all their main vitals are within safe parameters. Good. And you don't feel, either of you, any different?
Not that I am aware of, no.
How long would you think that she was exposed to the artifact? Do we have any idea?
She's been stationed out here at least 3 years, I think it was. Right now, though, we don't know what's true and what's not. Like, we do know that the information about the shuttles was wrong. That was a lie. We don't know if they had 2 or 3. We only had what information she provided. She provided that there was no shuttles, but we knew that there had to be one and you found a second when she arrived. So I do believe that it was recent that they did get on there. I do think that was true. If this has happened because of the sphere becoming active, then that would be a reasonably short period of time. If it's a longer issue, then she has been here for several years.
There is another option, Captain, that we may not have considered. She might not be the real Dr. Tala.
That is a horrifying option, but
There's the similarities between Romulan and Vulcan physique are well known. This could simply be someone acting as spy.
Aura will turn to Yennek and just kind of have a skeptical look on his face. Are you the real commander?
Yes.
That's exactly what an imposter would say.
Exactly. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we were together the entire time. As far as we know, that whole space station could be not Federation people.
that is a possibility, yes.
Which would explain why they have a different number of shuttles. That there's lots of things there that might not be up to scratch. I'm only posing it as a possibility, and probably giving Aaron some good ideas if he wants to pull other threads and go down different roads with the story.
And Kelle is going to walk back into the med
So,
bay.
do you feel that this satellite was a weapon, or that it went wrong?
It's hard to know for sure what the original design was meant for. Something definitely went wrong, but whether that is because it was supposed to be a weapon, and it went wrong because of that, or whether it was meant to do something else, like create a black hole. Unfortunately, we weren't able to analyze it fully before we disabled it.
Apart from destroying a system, what could you do with a black hole if you were creating it not as a weapon?
You could use it for energy. A lot of energy.
Could also be used as a transportation system. Possibly, at least.
I believe that's only theorized, but it's hard to know.
Well, this particular black hole may have been what caused Dr. Tilla to behave so irrationally.
Can you elaborate on that, Doctor?
To hopefully calm your concerns, Commander Yennek, I cannot find anything that would be contagious. To the best of my knowledge, the only thing that could really have caused this is there is a specific type of radiation that it would be possible for this black hole to be emitting that has been known to affect specifically Vulcans mentally and cause instability, but only over a very prolonged period of time. So it would not have been able to affect you, as you have not been exposed to it for, well, I believe she's been stationed there for years, isn't that correct?
I believe that if this is the real Doctor, then...
Is
Yes.
there a possibility she may not be?
The commander here posited another possibility.
And what would that be?
That it wasn't her. Have you seen her before? Do you know all of her? Like, can you say with 100% certainty that is that doctor? You've seen that doctor before?
I can't say, but I imagine it would be reasonably easy for us to find out, would it not?
You work for a super heavy military organization. You would probably be aware that people's identities can be falsified, even with super great stuff like DNA and everything. That can be falsified. I was only posing it as a possibility, wasn't giving it a whole lot of thought. Just an option that we hadn't considered is all.
Well, whether or not she is the original Dr. Tala, I cannot find anything wrong with her.
Yep.
Other than...
The info about the radiation, I think that pretty much sums it up right there, and we can put the whole thing to bed as a
I
full
believe
stop
so.
right there.
So if you two are feeling all right, I would say you are safe to be unquarantined.
Excellent.
I was just looking over my notes that I took in the when we were inside the artifact. You were wondering if it was made to be a weapon. It looks like it was specifically a test, and something went wrong with that test, and that the artifact made the black hole. That is its purpose.
Its purpose was a test?
The purpose was to make the black hole.
Ah. Well, it seems to have done that quite adequately.
Well,
It seems from the information we've gathered while you're over there that the actual sphere is a millennia old. So unfortunately, we're not going to have anyone of the original race to ask what they were thinking.
No, down on the planet, they refer to them as the Forerunners, I believe it was. But there's not really any information left.
Do you feel that is an accurate title, or something that's just suits what they believe?
It's hard to say. Their own concept of themselves is that they exist to, I don't know, serve or work for the Forerunners, but they don't remember in exactly what capacity or why. And if any of that was ever recorded, it has not lasted. So it's impossible to say.
This matter will be going to the Judge Advocacy General. It will become a legal matter for Starfleet on what they're going to do. Yes, it's somewhat messy at this point, because the standing charge is obviously treason. However, do you feel that this was largely a medical matter?
It is difficult to say to what extent it may have had an effect, and the fact that the two others with her, did they seem fully on board with her violent ideas? As they are not Vulcan, there is no reason the radiation should have affected them specifically.
I mean, they shot at us.
And they didn't seem specifically under duress or anything like that.
I mean, we shot back, so there's probably a decent amount of duress.
I meant originally.
I'm not good at reading people's emotions.
Huh. Well, again, it's difficult to say, although it may have affected her mental state. I don't really believe it would be enough in and of itself to entirely create a violent kind of plan, such as I have heard described. Although it may have intensified whatever feelings she already had.
I'm sure Starfleet is going to require you to submit your observations, being the medical executive that first encountered this.
I will do so.
Alright, we will have to leave them in the brig for now, and they will have to be transferred at the earliest convenience, and that will... yeah.
Is there a way to detect that specific radiation? Because what I'm wondering is, what about the other people on the space station? Like, so we've got 3 people in the brig. That's
Okay.
not all the people that were on that space station, right?
That is true.
If there are any more Vulcans
Is there any-
serving aboard the
specifically
space
if there's
station, I would suggest removing them immediately. But as far as I can tell, it really would not affect anybody else. Although, the radiation in general isn't ideal for anyone.
The space station will need to be evacuated
Well,
as well.
yeah, they'll have to leave anyways, yeah, because it's gonna
Yes.
be going.
I meant we may
Bye-bye.
wish to, if there were any more Vulcans, perhaps quarantine them until we can see what sort of effect it may be having on them mentally.
And maybe let Starfleet know for the ships that are approaching to evacuate the planet, that any Vulcans aboard should be, exempted from this mission or whatever, removed.
Again, only prolonged exposure would really be a concern.
Oh, okay, right.
Anything under, I would say, 9 months to a year wouldn't build up enough of an effect to really be noticeable.
So we'll let the ships know not to plan
to
any
stay.
vacations.
Don't hang around, no. Speaking of, do we have any estimated time of arrival for any of the ships that are coming? I know we just sort of managed to convince them down on the planet to be evacuated.
We sent out yesterday the code one, asking for all available ships who... Basically, the code has asked for anyone who is not involved in a current mission, and any mission that is of a lesser importance that can be dropped to make best possible speed for our location. So it just depends. Do not know how many ships are actually in the Shackleton Expanse that are related to the Federation. We have a surprising little amount of information.
How many creatures can we fit on our ship alone?
Mr. Yennek?
We have a crew capacity, I think we set up about 110. Was that right? Thereabouts? I'd have to
Yeah,
look
so
back.
somewhere between 80 to 110.
Now, how many we actually have on board, I don't know. That's how many, though, that you can fit as a crew. So,
Correct.
to transport somebody, the other thing is, I was going to say, maybe Lieutenant Thatcher, can you get the rest of the science division working on finding a suitable planet for relocation for those people?
Of course.
So maybe say if it's a somewhat short journey, maybe we can have up to 200 people on board this vessel. Depends how far away the planet we find to relocate them is, right? It's going to have to be far enough away that it's going to escape the gravity well caused by the collapse of the black hole.
It should be outside of this system, for sure.
Okay, so just to make the math simple, let's say for argument's sake, we could probably take 100 people max.
Which is barely a dent in the 10,000.
That is 100 trips if we had to do it ourselves.
Well, I don't believe we have time for that. It was, we had 5 days from yesterday?
Depends how far away the planet is. That way Well, I'll get right on that then. And Aura exits the med bay, heading to meet up with his scientist colleagues.
Captain, they're like, Yorktown entering system, sir. On screen. It looks brand new,
Ooh.
but it is a Constitution class.
That's the big boys.
Ooh, nice.
From the original series. So it's newer than yours, but it's still an old ship.
Yeah. Well, but it can hold like 500 people or something.
Hey,
right?
it's the new thing these days. Retro ships. All the rage.
And he's just looking at it going, look at that. And it's bright, and it's white, and it's got the flashing lights.
And it's
Wait,
very
does it?
original series.
We don't have flashing lights?
Not at all. No lights even.
Oh
Not
no!
a single
You
light.
you can see the inside
I'm
on the
joking right
inside of the nacelle. You see the plasma cores for the on the warp engines.
now. We just don't have as many flashing lights. They've just got so many.
What class is the Enterprise again?
Constitution. The original's a Constitution. So the Yorktown, he like hits a button and it comes up with information next to it. He goes, it's a medical ship. Interesting.
Oh, well, that's helpful.
We're being hailed. Put them through. And a young Indian-looking captain, maybe about 35, is on the screen. Welcome to the sector. This is the USS Pegasus. I am Captain Lockley. He says, happy to be of assistance. I am Captain Randolph of the USS Yorktown. We are at your disposal. This is my Chief Medical Officer, Lieutenant Tuan. She is in charge of the evacuation.
Hello.
Hello, Lieutenant. How can we be of assistance? We are a medical ship primarily.
How many people would you be able to transport?
And Lockley looks at Yennek because he loves doing this. He goes, you know this sort of stuff, Yennek. How many people do you think this Constitution class could possibly be able to carry?
That would largely depend on what her current crew complement is.
Very
if
logical.
If it's running full crew, no, they'd probably only be able to carry about 230 or so. Because before the refits, I guess it says in the 2250s, the crew was 203. In the 2260s, suddenly it went up to 430. I'm guessing a lot more for engineering once they upgraded it. But assuming they're probably not running it at full capacity as well, that would. Now that's many people they could take on comfortably. So again, maybe say double that if they have to do it as an emergency run.
Mr. Yennek is correct.
All right.
We also have up-to-date labs and anything related to medical research, if that is required.
At the moment, we mainly need to relocate the population of the planet. There are just under 10,000 inhabitants. We are looking to move.
My understanding is that there are other ships on the way, including a couple of Klingon transports.
Yes. Well, any help you can give is very appreciated.
Is there any requirements that these people need that we should be aware of before bringing them on board?
If you would be able to lower the level of light where they're going to be just a bit, that would make them more comfortable, as they have very sensitive eyes. Other than that, not specifically. They're quite resilient people.
We'll be using our main cargo hold. We have transported off before coming all non-essential equipment to give us the most space possible.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
With your permission, we will send a team down to the planet.
All right. Yes, please. Permission is granted.
Very good. Yorktown out.
Excellent. All right. Well, sounds like we're getting started.
So, There is actually no further actual problems that happen unless you create them. You get enough ships over the course of a week. They start to speed up on their arrival. It becomes quite a hectic.
I thought we didn't actually have a week, though.
We have 5 days, but then the planet starts becoming unlivable.
But didn't they do something on the artifact that shortened that? They just haven't told us?
And here's the thing, I don't think it actually matters how much time, because Aaron is saying as the game master that they made it.
Okay, cool.
So, okay. There is one thing that I wouldn't mind doing. How I was able to find the new planet for... So, Aura is in the stellar cartography area, and there's an ensign who's looking at some maps. Ensign, how many viable planets are within our reach?
2. So
Okay. How far are they from their host star? Are they, basically, is it going to be dim enough for them on both of them?
yes, sir. I assumed you were asking, could we find anywhere that had parameters that would be acceptable for the ethics?
Yes. Okay. And which one is closer?
We have Eon, the 4th planet, so Eon 4, sir. It's about 0.75 of Earth in total size, 2,969 miles radius.
That sounds good. And, alright, I will alert the commander. Or I will alert the captain to our heading. And I do that. So yeah, just wanted to have a small bit in there you can put somewhere if you want.
Cool. So that will be canon. And the planet's axis tilt results in extremely long-lasting seasons, which requires them to have quite long periods of darkness.
That sounds
That'll be-
perfect for them.
The Voyages of the USS Pegasus utilises the excellent official rules Star Trek Adventures released by Mephidius Games. Featuring Emily as Lieutenant Kelle, Shadow as Lieutenant Aura, Raveninsane as Commander Hunt, Ken as Commander Yennek, and Ghost as the GM. Many of the sounds come from Sirenscape, an excellent app for bringing more life to your gaming table. You can find us at critfail.com.
3, 2, 1, go.